So we were going to stay here a couple of nights so we could fill the freezer, but
we're going to go to the fish shop instead. I noticed this tiniest little trail of oil coming out of the windlass. Both jobs start as very simple, and then they turn out into very complex.
we spent the night in the middle of Moreton Bay. We came to this fishing place to catch fish.
Not a bite.
Did you catch any fish?
Not a single nibble even.
So we were going to stay here a couple of nights so we could fill the freezer, but
we're going to go to the fish shop instead. No, we're not.
And Magnus just
quite proud of myself.
Sailed off the anchor this morning with 4 sails.
By himself.
While I was tidying up the saloon, getting it ready to head off, we were heading off before I even knew we were heading off.
Yeah.
So
I love sailing off the anchor.
Pretty cool. So we've got 4 up, we've got mizzen up, and we've got the main and the other 2 up the front, which you can't really see, but they're up. And it's a beautiful day. We're doing about 3 or 4 knots, 4.1 knots.
In 5 knots of breeze.
So it's lovely. Not many waves. Yeah. So now we're heading to a place called Manly. We've got to pull in.
That's not Manly, Sydney.
No. We're going to pull in and
got to get new bearings.
Get bearings for the windlass.
Because on my normal rounds this morning, I noticed a little tiny trace of oil just coming out of the windlass. And on further inspection, I've seen that the right-hand starboard seal is weeping. So I managed to locate 2 seals, not far from within getting bus distance, but they're not open tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday, today's Friday, so we've got to beeline in there and get there by 5. And it's now 11, so might have to get a Monday.
We'll see how we go.
The windlass still works, it's just weeping, and I don't like, if it ain't right, it ain't right. So we'll just get that sorted.
This was a gift that we got from a lovely couple that we met at the boatyard, Swedish couple. And it's pretty handy now that we haven't got the bimini cover, so how is that? I love it. It's very clever. I know, love it, it's gorgeous, thank you. We've just pulled up in the bay, just outside the marina. We're now heading into a shop to get some bearings for the windlass, and then I think we might be going and meeting up with a nutter for some beers. So that all sounds good. So we found the bus. The transport here is amazing.
We want the, I don't know what bus we want.
Because it all goes to the same place.
That's the bus we want then.
That's the one. So this is the marina. It's enormous. And everything is just beautifully kept. Look at these trees, these Moreton figs.
What does a go-kart look like?
Are these Moreton figs?
Moreton Bay figs.
And we're in Moreton Bay?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, my go-kart didn't work, so it's probably out of date. So I had to buy a ticket. And Magnus's go-kart worked, because it's a new one. So I'll have to do a bit of sleuthing and find out what's wrong with my go-kart. Anyway, we're on the bus.
Yesterday, while I was doing my normal daily walk around the boat and checking bits and pieces, I noticed this tiniest little trail of oil coming out of the windlass. So checked it out, and on further inspection I noticed that the seal was gone. So I haven't taken it apart yet, but I looked up the schematic exploded diagram. It's just starting to rain again. Looked up the diagram and found the seal sizes. So we rushed around yesterday, got buses all around the place, and managed to get a couple of seals, and also bought some spare bearings. It's always good to have the right bearing on board. And so I'm just going to investigate it now, take the gypsy off, have a look, and just in case we need any other bits, because we're leaving here tomorrow or day after. So we're going to check out and see what we need. So let's hope it all goes to plan and it's not a difficult repair. First thing I'm going to do is to take the circlip off here, lift the chain off. Now the chain's already held on by a safety line up here. Undo the nut, take the gypsy off and have a look inside here where the seal is, to see if there's any further damage. Maybe the shaft's damaged or something like that. So we'll take all that apart now. So I just took the circlip off, and or circlips, and they're both broken. So that's they still work because they're more than 180 degrees on one of them. So I'll need to get some new circlips. After loosening the big nut here with our pole, we'll undo this and take the gypsy off and have a look behind there, see what it looks like. Beautiful day for doing some windlass repairs. So I managed to get it off without dropping it overboard. Now we can take out the inner part of the clutch. I serviced it not long ago. The grease has gone a bit hard, so we'll need to give that a clean up and service before we put them together as well. So now we've got the keyway here and our outer drum that should just come off. From memory, yeah, we need to lever that off because that's on the keyway, so we'll just get a bit of brute force and get that off. One other thing I forgot to mention is you've got to undo one of the 13mm bolts and just drop the chain stripper out of the gypsy. Just don't undo the whole thing, unless you of course want to clean it out and replace, put new grease in, as I'll do. So you just drop that stripper out, and now the gypsy comes off. I've already taken the key out of the keyway, so that's the gypsy off. Now we just gonna have to lever this off, and there's no play in there, so the bearing's fine. It's just the seal that's gone. So just lever this off and we'll inspect the seal.
It's been out here for quite a while now. Keeps popping back inside and trying to figure out how to do this.
Well, yeah, it's a typical boat job. Boat jobs start as very simple and then they turn out into very complex. This should just slide straight off on the shaft. Just slip straight off. There's nothing holding it. So I've done some Google research and other people have had the same problem. So they've just used brute force, but I'm a bit anti brute force when it comes to things with bearings. So I'm going to try and, I don't think I'll be able to get a puller on there. So I've got the puller out here. I'll just see if I can get it on. But I'm working over the water, so I always like to tie everything on one-handed. Nah, there's no way I'm going to get that hook on. It's loose as, right? That is so loose, it should just slide off on the shaft. But it only goes that far. There's no key in here, there's no burrs anywhere I can feel. It only turns that far. I've tapped it all the way around on the shaft. It doesn't feel right. It feels like something binding, but it should just fall off. And mind you, now it's getting looser and looser. There is on the back of this shaft, there's a step, and I've noticed on some of the videos that if people over tighten this wing nut, it pushes too much weight onto this and the brass actually mangles itself around that step. So I think that's what might have happened with this one. So I'm just going to gently keep spinning it and I might be able to wear that brass off I can feel it sort of, yeah, it's chewing into the brass. So I'm just going to keep turning this for half an hour or so until Wendy makes breakfast, and it should wear itself free. Yeah, it's getting freer and freer now. So there we go. Brute force wasn't required. And the only reason I'm leaving this wing nut on, because if I'm pulling like crazy on this, I don't want it to go overboard. Having been in this industry most of my life, look at how loose that is now. I've lost a lot of stuff overboard. Oh, look at that, Wen. That's as loose as a... That wasn't spinning like that before. Oh, you can see the bits of brass coming off. I put my CNI dog on, and look in here, you can actually see it's a brass here, right? It's being shaved off as I spin this. So there is something, maybe this, look at that, Wen. If you get the light just right on that keyway, you can see where it's had excess load put on it, and see that where the metal has changed colour from a shiny to a dull. That what's happened there is this face has had too much load on it, right? Which is the key's pushed against there, and it's made a burr. You can't feel it with your hands, but I bet you if I get my bastard out and give that a bit of a tickle, we'll find that I can remove a burr off there, and this will slide off beautifully. So that's the next step. Got a coarse and a fine, so we'll start with fine. First of all, clean up workplace. That stainless has got a tiniest little lip on there, but I reckon because this key, I'll just show you the Woodruff key. Yeah, you can see where it's been pushed there. So this Woodruff key extends inside here by ½ an inch. So even though I'm taking this bit off, we've still got ½ an inch inside, which has got a burr on it.
Oh, the tranquility. Just got to wait for the wake to settle down a bit now, because that jet ski just went about 3 feet from the back of our boat.
So now we've got the burr off there. Don't want to go too coarse. Now I'm just going to have to gently tease it back in. I'll take this off because it's getting in the way. Right. Yeah, you can feel the lump in there. So if you gently see where the high points are, yeah, you see that high point there?
Yeah.
There we go, it's taken that high point off. What I'm going to do here is just keep manipulating this until it comes off. Kettle's boiling. Oh, it's coming free. There it comes. I think we got it. Wow.
There's a lot of filings in there.
A lot of brass in there. Brass in pocket. So I ended up using the mechanical advantage of the winch or windlass instead of, I was going backwards and forwards for like an hour. Yeah, so we'll clean all this up. You can see, yeah, the bearing's gone. I mean, the seal's gone. See where it's weeping. Right, so I'll clean all this up and then we'll clean this burr up. And you can see where the burr is there. See where I've cleaned it up? And you can see where the burr is. So I'll clean all that up and then I'll show you how to whip the seal out and pop a new one in. Job done. key in, make sure the key sits in there. Oh, sits in, and that's tight, that is beautiful. Right, so that's all fixed. Right, that's all deburred. Everyone should have a good set of seal hooks, seal pickers, whatever you want to call them. These are for picking out old seals. Yes, you can use a screwdriver and a hammer. You have a good chance of destroying the housing. So generally, before you do this next step, you want to check your oil level. Make sure the oil is no higher than the bottom of the seal, otherwise it's all going to pour out. So I'll get Wendy to look through the sight glass. How full is it?
It looks like it's full to me, to the top.
Shouldn't
Unless
be.
It's completely empty, one or the other.
That's how full it is. Looks over full to me.
Told you it was full.
So as you can see here, if I just put this pick in, oil pours out. So she's very, 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 very full.
So how do you get rid of the oil before you take the seal out? Can you drain it?
See a drain? Can you see a drain anywhere?
No, I just thought there might be one for changing oil in the Windlass. Don't know.
Nope, there's no drain.
So you just got to go for it.
So you can either unbolt it, tip it upside down into a bucket. You can put in something through the filler and suck it out. Or you can put truckloads of rags around here. That's a lot of oil to...
What is it, like litres?
Well, the bottom of the crankcase is there, and I opened it there and oil was pouring out. So that's at least 2 or 3 litres. You can see it coming out now. WD-40, amongst other things, also makes it awesome clean-up liquid for degreasing and things. It's also good for getting the remnants of stickers off things. It's good for all sorts of stuff. So the first thing we'll do is check that the new seal we've got is the right size before we take the old one out. That is perfect. And the shaft doesn't look worn. Looks in pretty good nick. Let's have a look at the bottom side. It's a weird point there that needs it to tickle up. Not that the seal runs on there normally, but when you're sliding the new seal on, you don't want it to get torn or even nicked by a sharp bit of metal. Yeah, it feels pretty good all the way around. So how are we going to do this, Wendy?
Suck it out.
These are plastic, these bungs, so don't use a spanner on them because you round them. Always have a look inside the cap on anything, gearboxes, engines, whatever. And if there's grey, as that has, that means there's a little bit of water in there. So I should be changing this oil. Depends on the amount of grey. Sometimes it's just from the, if you're in a humid area, you'll get a bit of humidity in there when you check the oil levels, things like that. So looking at this, it's not all grey inside, it's beautiful oil in there.
So it's just residual oil then, not full of oil?
Yeah.
Is that how you get the O-ring out? You just tease it out with those pointy things?
Yep. It's a seal. So what's called a rotary seal. So using your pick, seal out and pop a new seal in.
That's pretty simple then.
Everything's pretty simple. So now you just want to tap it in so it's evenly, goes in even. Usually use a big socket for this, but you can't get a socket over this shaft. You want to make it so it's just recessed, like that. Beautiful, no leakage now. So now, it's just reassembly. In a real world, I'd replace this inner clutch section.
Does he need to get the bits off that or not? Doesn't matter.
Which bits?
The filings.
I've got them all off, apart from that one. So that should be a nice snug fit. So we'll order one and fit it when we get home. So that goes on, then clean all this up. Light coating of grease on here, just a very, very light coating. And then put it back together. Make sure that lines up on the spline.
Oh, it's simple to put together.
Yeah, everything's simple.
Is that it?
Yep. So that just get hand tight.
Yeah.
Circlips go back on here.
Right, to stop
I tighten the stripper back up.
Yep.
And all finished.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Job done.
There she is, all finished, back together. And not leaking, works like a dream.
Okay, where are we and what are we doing?
We're at the Manly Hotel, not in Sydney, but in Brisbane, having a beer. It's a Kosciuszko beer from, I don't know which brewery, but Wendy will put it there.
Can you speak up a little bit?
On mine.